Nick Norelli from Rightly Dividing the Word of Truth. Lately, I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube where people are sharing their Bible collections. And as I glance over my closet here, I got two full shelves worth of Bibles, and then I got a couple scattered about in the bookcases behind me, and then my desk is just filled with Bibles, and then I got another whole bookcase full of original language texts and stuff like that. But I want to just take a couple minutes this morning and talk about really my first two major Bibles. Now, if you go back on my blog and search the archives, I've actually mentioned these a few times, but before I was even a believer, my now pastor, he's been cutting my hair for over 20 years. God saved him in, I want to say it was 2000 or 2001. I think it was 2001. And I'd go in for my weekly haircut, and he'd share the gospel with me. And at the time, I was engaged to my daughter's mother. And when I got engaged, him and his wife got me this Bible right here. It's a couples devotional Bible, New International Version. And I just kind of, I said thank you. I threw it on a shelf and never really paid attention to it. About a year and a half later, God would end up saving me. And this was the main Bible I would read through. And you could see, I wrote down some questions and answers, and, on the front, I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but circle passages that stood out. Again, it's not picking up very well on the camera. You can see in the back, I would just write down verses that stood out to me, questions that I had, answers that I came across. And yeah, this was my Bible. Now, when I had gotten saved, my then fiance was not a fan. She was not a big fan of me being a believer in Jesus, and it caused a lot of turmoil. So I used to have to sneak into the bathroom at night and read this with a flashlight just to avoid getting in an argument. But yeah, this was the Bible that was formative for me. So fast forward, I'm in my church, and I don't know how well you can really see this cover, but it's not the most masculine Bible cover. So aside from that, here I am, a man holding this couple's devotional Bible in church. My pastor read from the King James Version. So, it's somewhat difficult to follow along forget, just the update in language, but there's also different manuscripts that it follows, a different textual foundation. So this has certain verses that the King James doesn't. It doesn't have certain verses that the King James does. So it became a hindrance to me following along. So I went out, and I think, I forget the occasion, but I had my mother get me this Bible right here, which is just a giant print, center column reference, King James Bible, published by Thomas Nelson. And this was my Bible. This was the Bible, I read this thing hours a day, every day. It was well worn. As you can see, pages fell out because Thomas Nelson is a I don't want to say a horrible publisher, but they make some shoddy Bibles. I mean, that's just a statement of fact. But yeah, I got, different notes. This was a Bible reading plan, but I printed out some notes and glued them in the front there. This was, these are topical notes, passages about the Trinity. At the time, I was a firm believer in the pre-trib rapture, so I had my pre-trib rapture verses, and it's funny to go back and revisit these notes and really my beliefs haven't changed a whole bunch, but my eschatology definitely has shifted. Stuff on the hypostatic union and just all types of stuff. But I mean, if you open this up, you see the highlighting. I got highlighting and notes and just markings all over the place. Same thing in the back, more topical references. And I love this thing. I love the Burgundy Bible. I love the size. It was very manageable. It was bonded leather, and for years I would argue I was an apologist for bonded leather over genuine leather. Genuine leather was like, it just felt stiff to me. I didn't think it was better. Come to realize it's more in, if the Bible is sewn or glued. This one's clearly glued. I tried actually to replace this once it fell apart. This was a 1994 edition. It did not have an ISBN number. I had to go off the number on the spine here, which is a 895 BG. And what happened was I could find an 895 but not an 895 BG. I think the BG just stands for Burgundy. So I ended up getting that. Come to find out, it's not exactly the same Bible. The one I got was a 2004 reprint. That one was in black bonded leather. The text was larger. The pagination was different. Everything about it was different. It wasn't as good as this. The newer one had book introductions, which I really wasn't looking for. I really wanted to just recreate this Bible. Was never able to do it. So yeah, that's that. I won't even pull that one off the shelf. That one also by Thomas Nelson. Actually, I will pull it off. Just bear with me. King James Giant Print Center Column Reference Bible. I just want to show you something again. So if you open this Bible up, take my notes out. If you open it up, first page that you can see is the preface. That is not the first page you should see. As a matter of fact, the first pages you should see should be the presentation page, the Holy Matrimony, the regular title page, books of the Bible. The copyright information should also be in here. All that stuff. And it just so happens that the day I got it, the day I pulled it out the box, the first time I opened it, this popped out of it. Why? Because Thomas Nelson produces shoddy, cheap, not well-bound Bibles. I'm assuming this is glued. I don't see any, it doesn't look like it's sewn at all. And, because of that, I never really got into it. Also, it wasn't, the center column reference in this is not as good as the other one. Yeah, the text is, it's nice and large and everything like that, but I never really got into using this. Yeah, so those were the main Bibles that set me off. I think I might record another video about the newer ones. And what I've been doing, I've shifted almost exclusively to the ESV over the last couple of years. I still dabble with the NIV, and as a translation, I love the NIV. It just so happens that all these Bibles I've been reading have been in the English Standard Version, and Crossway really makes some good stuff. So more on that later. Thanks for watching. God bless.